Hey guys, Robert Dietz up in the Sierra foothills. I've got myself a John Deere X320 here. This is a 2007 X320. Has been a real good tractor for me. Has done a good job. I'm up in some pretty steep hills and with some pretty thick grass. And maybe like some of you, I was looking at ways to change the fluid on the differential and transmission, and everything that I saw was taking and lifting the body up. Now, while I was considering that, I wondered if there was possibly another way, and I'm going to give you a poor man's way to do the job. Won't be quite as good, but it's a whole lot easier. Here. Take a look at the back of your X320. There's a plate back here that covers behind the gas tank. It's two 8mm bolts and it comes right off. Once you take and remove that, you will find here the breather hole. If you bring this closer, this is the breather hole to your transmission. Now this is not where you're supposed to take and drain it. The drain is actually up front here, which is where you would need to take the body off. This, however, is rubber and comes right off without any tools. If you take this off, you can then take some hoses, and if you notice here, I've got different size hoses where you can fit those within the transmission and get it down and take and suction and pull the oil out. I used both a drill and a hand pump method here. And I'm going to give you a warning. It took me over an hour where I was putting this tube into my transmission and nothing was coming out. And I actually tried thinking, well, I wasn't getting enough suction. What was happening is the tube, as you push it in, gets crimped within the gears. And as I was moving it back and forth, and it took me a while to do it, I was able to get a good feed down to the fluid in the liquid, and I was able to pump it out with just your standard hand pump. I didn't need one of these. By the way, these are not very strong, I found out. I used different diameter tubes to take and get in because the bigger tube, which comes standard on a pump like this, will not fit in this small hole. So I took different diameter tubes and worked it down to where I could even get one to test where the fluid level was, and I actually just used my mouth to take and see, okay, now I was in fluid. But once you do that, you can get it into the transmission pretty far, and if you take a look at the fluid here, this here is the fluid that I've pulled out. It's really dark. There's some metal flakes in it, and while it's not all of the fluid, this is not the proper way to take and do it. Because we're not using the drain plug. We also can't clean the metal shavings off of the magnet, but if you wanted a poor man's way where you could change your fluid, freshen it up, and do it in probably less than an hour, here's a way that you can do it with two bolts. Pull this off, and using a standard plug, take and freshen up the fluid in your differential and rear end. That was a whole lot easier than I found on some of the other things. Now, since we can't measure the fluid and I don't know how much I'm taking out, I've got an empty oil can here with a pen, and what I will do is take the oil that I've drained, put it into an empty can, and then match it up with the new differential fluid that I've bought so I can get the proper amount. Because I don't know how much I've taken out. I know it's more than half, but I don't know how much more. So that'll give you an idea on how to take and freshen up your fluid. Do it quite easily. These are $6.99 at the John Deere dealer, which is a lot less than actually a lot of the synthetic oils. I heard people saying use either a 5-weight 50 synthetic or a 20-weight 50 synthetic. This high guard here is what John Deere recommends, what they use. It's for the transmission, and at $6.99, it's the same price or less than synthetic motor oil. So I just went to my John Deere dealer. Another little tip that I had over the years in using this is the grass here gets pretty high, and this John Deere